Excel spreadsheet, so neither of us know what's happening. Apparently, if it's not in an Excel spreadsheet, Rachel does not
it doesn't register.
Yeah. So anyway, just for anybody listening who wants to get Rachel's attention, email her a spreadsheet, okay? Because then she'll get it. All right.
It's like so true, though. It's like sad.
Welcome to the Muscle Science for Women podcast. You're friends. You're stressed out, at least on my end, slightly tired, slightly dehydrated friend, Ashleigh Van Houten, and you are.
I am Rachel Gregory, and we are.
How dehydrated are you? Yeah, okay, you're not that.
I am. This is like my third one of these, which is 800 milliliters. Wait, to 3.5 ounces. No, sorry,
ounces. 3.5 ounces. You're holding like a gallon of water in your hands.
I'm trying to read the thing. Wait, cup, ounce. I don't know. Whatever. It's this big thing, and I try to drink. It's 30 ounces, I think. I don't know. Whatever. Mason jar.
That makes more sense.
Large, wide mouth. Gotta go with the wide mouth.
Oh my God. Okay. Just drink something for a second. I'm drinking out of a tiny Nalgene because I don't know, it seems less intimidating that way. And I think this is the first beverage that is not coffee, and it's almost the end of the day. So cheers, guys.
Oh wow.
I'm crushing life. Okay.
I'm gonna call you out though, because it's 2022 and you're drinking out of a plastic bottle.
But it's a Nalgene though. It's BPA free, guys. BPA free says right on the bottom, dude.
That?
Listen. How many hippies are really walking around all day, going to the gym, going to get groceries, walking around with a wide mouth glass mason jar in their hand, okay? All right?
Well, my gym bottle is a stainless steel one. And then at home, I have the mason jars. But I got a pack of these, I think it was like a 10 pack on Amazon for a pretty decent price, with like colorful lids. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. I'm excited. She gets really
excited about colorful lids too, guys. Just so you know.
No, but I'm excited to talk to you. And I also want to shout out that you have a new microphone thing. But I think that you should bring it down just a tad because we all want to see your face, right?
Do you know I had this the last time we chatted too, and I think you just didn't notice.
Oh.
Okay, but can you still hear me good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. I'm always worried. I'm always worried about these microphones where I'm like, unless I'm like making out with it right up in here, that you can't hear me. I'm so worried people can't hear me when I obviously am loud and easy to hear. Anyway.
It's good if you're too close, then sometimes it can be way too much.
Okay, so this is good. And
maybe Treese, I've been telling Treese to let me know how I can make her life easier in post-production, because I feel like I am always either too close or too far. So Treese, I know you're listening to this. Treese is our amazing podcast editor.
She's the best.
Let us know if we are sucking, because sometimes that happens.
I think we do a pretty good job for her. I don't think she has to do too much to make us sound like somebody worth listening to, but I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be completely different. But you had something you were excited to say.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
First of all, we're going to start doing this, and we've been doing this, but we're going to do updates, each do an update. We can talk. We have a 5-minute limit, I think, because we could probably each talk for 30 minutes on our updates. And then we obviously want to get to questions because we have a lot of those. But yeah, we're going to do updates at the beginning of these episodes, and hopefully you guys like it. If not, deal with it. Just
because this is our time to catch up with each other. So we're going to give updates whether you want them or not.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to go first because I'm really excited, and I'm just going to do it. Okay. You probably already know what I'm going to say, or you've seen it on my stories this past week, but I got the most incredible ice cream maker.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this thing, literally, I'm obsessed, and it is the best purchase I've ever made for a kitchen appliance.
Okay. So, tell me what it is. Cause it looked like sort of is it one of those handheld, personal size, no, what is it?
It is a legitimately, it's a legitimate personal ice cream maker. So I've been making protein ice cream for a while, right? With the Vitamix, and that comes out the consistency. You kind of have to really work it. You have to use the right powders, the right, ratios of all the different things. And it doesn't come out true ice cream, hard, ice cream that you'd get at an ice cream shop where they scoop it out of the big thing. And it's legitimate texture. So the Ninja Creamy It is an absolute game changer because you literally just put whatever you want in this container, this pint. Like I've been doing, just whatever milk you want with protein powder and whatever. Put it in this little thing, you mix it up, and then you put it in the freezer overnight for like 20, 24 hours. And you take it out and then you put it in this machine and it's a creamer. And so the technology, like it does all this like technology stuff and creams the ice cream in 3 minutes into a legitimate like ice cream. Like it turns protein powder and milk. And also you can just literally put fruit, like any type of fruit you want, just fruit and like water, freeze it overnight, put it in the Ninja Creamy. There are a few, like you have to, for example, when I do protein ice cream, I have to, I do the one time spinning it through, which takes 3 minutes. Then you add a splash of milk and then you do it for like the respin is what they call it. It's another like 30 seconds. But I promise you it comes out as legitimate ice cream and it's a game changer. Like I can eat a pint of ice cream for 150 calories every single night, which I've been doing, of course, sometimes twice a day, honestly. And it's like having a protein shake legitimately as ice cream. I just can't get over it.
I'm going to call this episode legitimate ice cream because the word legitimate's been thrown around a lot.
I'm sorry. Can you tell I'm excited?
And speaking of sponsors, we were talking about show sponsors offline. Yes. Can we get this thing? Can we get what's it called? Ninja Creamy?
Oh, you bet I've been on that. You bet I've been reaching out. So my sister we've talked about this and I know I have like 2 minutes left on my time, but she is a sales. She not works for me now, but she works for KB, which is my team. And she's the head of the sales director there. And so we're working on some other kind of like promotional stuff, whatever. And she has like access to this kind of secret LinkedIn stuff to like get people, like get to like the right person to talk to. Like, for example, at a
LinkedIn
company like
Premium?
Ninja.
Like you're just paying?
No. It's okay. Like some salesy thing with all these big words that I have no idea what they mean. But anyway, it's like this database that she has access to. And my dad has access to it too, because he's in sales. And I'm probably just like outing them right now on the podcast. I don't know if it's like, I'm supposed to be sharing this. Oops. Anyway, they're going to find the person that we need to talk to at Ninja. And if you're listening to this and you know anybody who works at Ninja, please let us know. And so eventually, hopefully we'll have some type of relationship with Ninja and we can be the face of their protein ice cream creamy.
I mean, I'm into it. How much does this thing cost?
It's like $200, but I promise you, it's literally the best money I've ever spent on a kitchen appliance.
If you like ice cream, this is worth it.
If you like ice cream, yeah. Besides the air fryer, so I have the Ninja Foodie, which is the air fryer Instapot slow cooker thing. I use that every single day. So those two things. So if anybody listening knows anybody at Ninja, definitely
hit us up. And you don't have to add any, because I feel like I've seen in some previous like protein ice cream recipes, you need like some kind of like thickener, like stabilizer. Yeah. Like, do you still need that for this, or can you just put like cream and fruit and protein powder in there and it turns into ice cream?
Yeah, you can do that. You need some type of like, if you're not going to put like a dash of xanthan gum, which I haven't been doing that. I used to do that in the protein ice cream. So I've been testing out a bunch of different things the past week.
Of course.
But yeah. But if you use like yogurt, for example, you could literally put just yogurt, any type of yogurt that you like in this thing, freeze it, put it in the creamy, and it turns into frozen yogurt. Like legitimate frozen yogurt.
Legitimate yogurt.
Legitimate.
Okay, I'm excited. I love a little, high protein anything that's a dessert. So maybe you'll convince me to spend $200 on this thing. Speaking of appliances, I don't know if you saw in my stories, but anybody who's ever seen me in real life knows that I am low maintenance when it comes to my hair. However, I'm a grown woman. I had a hairdryer. I probably had the same hairdryer since university, which was anywhere from 1 to 30 years ago. Who knows? No one knows how old I am. Whatever. I have an old hairdryer. It died, okay? So I'm like, I need a new hairdryer. What do I get? And do you know how many of these insane people told me to buy a Dyson hairdryer? Do you know how much those things cost? Do you have one? You have one. What is wrong with you people? Okay.
It was a Christmas present from my mom. Okay.
Okay, then that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Okay.
If you
didn't buy it, I wouldn't buy that.
Exactly.
Sorry.
If you spend over $500 on hair. And again, if you're like a hair person, if you're like into hair, if you spend a lot of effort on your hair, I don't know, whatever. I don't even know how to like blow dry my hair. I literally probably blow dry my hair like maybe a couple times a month. And these nut jobs were telling me to buy a $550 hair dryer. Guys, excuse me. Have you seen my hair? What makes you think that I would put that much effort into my hair? That's nuts. However, a couple $100 on a kitchen appliance that will make me delicious treats is a different story entirely. So, all right. Well, I like that. That's a cool update. And maybe I will get one too, especially if they decide to sponsor our podcast. We'll see.
Yeah. You got to work on it.
Okay, so one kind of health-related thing that I just thought was funny that I wanted to chat with you, and anyone listening, if you're listening with younger kids, there's going to be some language in the next couple of minutes that just, this is an adult podcast for adults, okay? It's not that inappropriate. I just want to give the warning because, you know, some people might be like listening in their car and like there's like a 6-year-old and they're like, oh, this is, but anyway, I just thought it was funny. And I was telling my husband about this and he was like, that's hilarious. That's the kind of stuff you and Rachel need to be talking about on the podcast because it's funny, okay? And it's sort of like a behind the scenes of what it's like to be a online health coach, right? Because you guys know, you guys who listen, you know that we're health coaches. We both do our own personal coaching. We have Muscle Science for Women program, which is open now. Of course, you can be signed up and working with us right now if you want to. And I do my own stuff as well. And more recently, I've been doing these sort of one-off intensive health consultation stuff with clients. That's not so much an ongoing thing as a like, you come to me with a targeted issue and you and I will work together on getting answers for this one thing. And then you go off on your own and you whatever. So that's what I've been doing for a while. And I found it to be really interesting and really challenging and great. And I hope, you know, it's been helping the folks that I'm working with. All that to say, recently, I've had a couple folks reach out and sign up for these consults that were complete strangers to me. Like usually it's like somebody that I've maybe chatted on Instagram or a friend of a friend or people that, you know, and it's been people that like I don't know at all. And they kind of just sign up for this thing and they fill out this intake form for me and they send me an email. And usually we have a little bit of back and forth and chat before we have this Zoom call. We always have like a face-to-face Zoom call and chat. And this one person wasn't really much of a chatter, wasn't really like sending me a lot of information via email. And I'm like getting ready to do this call and I'm thinking like, I have no idea who is going to show up on the other end of this call, right?
Oh my God.
And there was a moment where I'm just like, the world, like we place so much like trust in the fact that people are who they say they are, like are going to be appropriate, are going to be normal, like whatever, you know? And I was just like, this could literally just be like some weird dude like showing me his dick or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like it could be anything. I have no idea.
Is killing me.
And of course, that's what's going through my head. And I will say I did kind of just recently watch like a catfishing documentary on Netflix. So I'm like, maybe I'm getting like weirdly catfished and it's like some creeper or something, right? Like, I don't know. It's just a thought that I listen to a lot of true crime. Okay. Like that's just the thought that went through my head. And as I'm telling Alex this, he's like, hey, listen, if somebody pays you a couple $100, you look at a dick. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm like, okay.
I mean,
you make an interesting point. It's like reverse OnlyFans. It's like you pay me to look at you, your junk.
My God.
I don't know. Maybe this is something I need to like explore further. Anyway, it was a perfectly normal interaction with a perfectly lovely woman who I worked with, and it was great. But I'm telling you that like getting on a Zoom call, preparing for a one-on-one conversation where you're going to be sharing like real information with each other and you know like nothing other than what they've decided to tell you on this intake form. And I will say this client also gave me very little information on the intake form. Like some people are just, I think, sharers and some people aren't. And she was not really much of a sharer until we chatted in person. But it was just like a moment where I was just like, I have no idea who is going to greet me on the other side of this Zoom call. It may be a dick. It may be a person. I don't know. But either way, I'm getting paid.
Oh my God.
So I just wanted to share that with you because when I was telling Alex about it, his reaction was just like, "Hey, look, you gotta make some money. You gotta look at a dick. Like, what are you gonna do?" Anyway,
oh my God.
Anybody who finds that scandalous and inappropriate, you can just skip right through that, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's funny. It's true though.
That's my update. And I am still taking coaching clients if you're
Oh my
interested,
gosh.
but please listen. You pay me before the call, so like
Yeah.
whatever. You really got to want to have a conversation
I
and get
usually
unstuck.
my first call with clients is on the phone, and then after that, and that's probably one of the reasons.
Yeah, because you don't want to get catfished with someone's penis.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I will
We
say
have
though
some
that I
questions. Oh, sorry.
yeah, no,
You
that's
go.
okay. I was just gonna say I think you probably are the same way, but like I actually really don't have as much like weird, creepy social media stuff as a lot of people might think. You know what I mean? Like I know a lot of
Mhm.
friends who like all day long are just bombarded with like nastiness online because I
Yeah.
think that, I'm using air quotes here, but like the bigger you get on social media, the less people think that you're a human being. And I will say like too, I know you've kind of done some stuff on TikTok recently and had like a ton of success. And I've like jumped in there just for the briefest of moments. And like every time I go to TikTok and try to do something for myself, I feel like I hate it more and more. Like I'll go and I guess look at some videos, but like I guess I'm just of the age where I will just look at TikTok videos on Instagram with the rest of
Yeah.
30 somethings because I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do it and I just can't.
I don't even have the app like on my phone, I don't think, like TikTok,
Yeah.
because I don't like my team posts all that
Yes,
stuff. And
yes.
so yeah, it's part of whatever, but I haven't been on, and like unless like a video blows up, I'll go look at it, and it's like actually I'm just like laughing at all the comments and stuff, but I haven't developed the habit of like pulling up TikTok and like scrolling.
Yeah.
I'm still, like you said, on Instagram. That's my
The main.
habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let's get to questions, because this is
let's
a
move
Muscle
on.
Science for Women podcast.
Yeah, so let's start with some of the emailed in questions because they should kind of take priority because they actually took the time to send us emails to
Yeah.
Muscle Science for Women, the number 4, Muscle Science for Women at gmail.com. Please send any of your comments, feedback, questions, any ideas you have for us. Please send it there. We do look at them. So please do that. Okay. Do you want me to? I'll read this one from Sophia and then we'll see where that goes.
Go for it.
All right. Sophia says, hello, ladies. I know that you frequently address the fear of increasing calories and gaining weight in a muscle building phase. But what I don't hear anyone talking about is the impact of small fluctuations in weight and body fat as you are going through building and cutting phases. Are these waves of dieting detrimental, even though they are a small range, like 10 to 15 pounds? I grew up in the fat-free era, but also in an era where maintaining your body size was considered optimal and any yo-yoing was bad. Is this BS? When I think about it in evolutionary terms, it seems that significant body composition fluctuations would be natural throughout the year, but is it healthy? Are we damaging our bodies by playing with the fat cell status? Thanks for all the great info, Sophia. So what do you think? That's a great question.
That is a great question. So right off the bat, my first kind of inclination is to start, talking about the amount of fluctuations. I think what she said from an evolutionary standpoint, and even like how I think about kind of like how I go throughout the year, depending on specific goals. But I think it's absolutely normal for weight to jump up a little bit during like the winter time, which just happens to be with the holidays typically. And then, in the summertime when you're out and you're more active and it's nicer outside, depending on where you live, for it to come down a little bit. But I personally think that, I mean, it all depends on your goals, right? So if you are in a dedicated fat loss phase, or if you're in a dedicated building phase, those are periods of time where, yes, you may fluctuate up and down depending on your goal, right? And we can take building as an example. And this is what we talk about in the program, like for how you would set that up if your goal was to build as much muscle as possible and you were okay with putting on a little bit of body fat at the same time to optimize that. In that sense, you would basically have a structured way of going about that, and you would kind of know like what your kind of goal was. You could follow along with that, and you weren't going like too crazy and putting on like a ton of body fat, right? Because that's obviously not what we want. We want to just put on as much as we need to optimize that muscle growth. I think that within that period of time, like for example, when I went through my kind of main building phase, which was an eight month period, I put on 15 pounds. And then when I went into a subsequent cut, I lost that 15 pounds. but I saw new muscle. So ideally I had put on like maybe half of that 15 pounds was, I don't know, 7 pounds of muscle. I don't know. Right. You don't know exactly. You can do DEXA scans and all that stuff, but that's like way too complex. For all that to say though, I think that if you are someone who is dedicated to certain periods like this for a specific reason, I think that actually something that, you know, and this is becoming more from like the abundant side of things versus the fat loss side of things. I think that's something that a lot of women miss out on because they could be really, really changing their body composition if they took some time to actually see the scale go up for a little bit, right? Instead of being always in kind of that restrictive kind of state, or really like always kind of chasing that lower number on the scale. So that's kind of one thing. And the other thing I would say, and then I'll let you go, obviously, is again, it comes down to like what you're doing. Like if you are someone who's going through these different phases and that's what you enjoy doing, then I think it's totally fine. If you're someone who is just looking to like kind of maintain and build slowly over time and optimize over time, and you don't want to go through these huge fluctuations, and you find that that actually triggers some different things that you don't want to happen, like yo-yoing, like as this person mentioned, then for you, maybe it's not ideal to go above maybe like a 5 pound fluctuation, because I think within a 5 pound fluctuation, that's completely normal for most people who are just trying to, you know, live their life and maybe, you know, put on some muscle over time, optimize over time, versus the person like me who went through a dedicated building phase and I put on 15 pounds and then I lost that 15 subsequently in a fat loss phase. You know what I mean? Like it all comes down to what are you trying to prioritize? What's your main goal? I don't think there's a yes or no answer or a right or wrong answer. I think it all comes down to the person.
Yeah.
And like what your goals are.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I would expand it a little more, and I would say that I think most people will or can very easily fluctuate from month to month throughout the year. 15 pounds, no problem. Like women too. Like women can fluctuate 5 pounds from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, depending on what part of your cycle you're in, if you ate something that bloated you the night before, you know, if you're having digestive issues, you name it, right? Like if you just had a super intense workout, like that, the obsession with that is probably more mentally harmful than gaining 10 or losing 10 pounds over and over again is physically harmful. You know what I mean? Like it's the mentally obsessing over it that is probably honestly worse than that. And I think that like, if we're talking about our sort of like set point, like everybody kind of has this point where like their body is sort of happiest. It's like this homeostasis that we talk about all the time is usually about 10 pounds heavier than we kind of ideally want to look. You know what I mean? Like where you feel your body feels the most comfortable is like just a little softer maybe than you want to be, as a lot of women might agree with. But even that set point probably isn't an exact pound. It's probably a range. It's probably like your body's pretty happy and will kind of stay between this many pounds and this many pounds. And that could be a range of 5 to 15 pounds, you know, over whatever, the course of a year. I don't think that there's a massive physical problem with it unless it is this like overly strict, harsh, stressful, mentally stressful thing that you're doing to yourself. If you just sort of naturally get a little leaner in the summer because you're doing your beach bod, you're changing your workouts a little bit, you're sweating more, you're outside more, and then you get a little softer in the winter because it's cold and you're staying in and you're eating more, whatever. I think that is evolutionarily and generally probably a very normal, healthy thing. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I would think it's maybe more so like the yo-yoing. I would be concerned if it was like you kept like gaining and losing the quote unquote same like 40 to 50 pounds. Right. Like if you went through like an aggressive fat loss phase and then you did it in a way that you couldn't maintain after, and you gained all this weight back afterwards, and then you're like, oh, now I have to go lose it again. Like that's where the yo-yoing and the issues from the psychological standpoint come in. And there is some research that does kind of show that the more you diet, the more you are restricting yourself and you're in kind of a calorie deficit, the more your body can adapt to that. So it could make it harder to lose those same like 10 pounds in a few years than it was earlier. Like the more you put your body under stress, especially for women. Just the way that our body, it's kind of this concept called metabolic adaptation, where your body starts to adapt to what you're doing, and then it kind of becomes harder and harder. So that's why, I mean, there's no like, I don't know, the research is iffy on a lot of this stuff still, but it's just something to consider. Like, you don't want to be constantly restricting, as we always say, but I just think, I don't know, I think it just comes back to what your goal is, and really looking at it from a standpoint of like, is this part of the plan? Like, am I doing this for a reason? Am I losing and gaining this weight from a structured, systematic, like, this is the goal to do this? Or is it, I just, restricted for 3 months, lost a bunch of weight, and I couldn't like binge back up, that's where So hopefully that makes sense.
I think generally most people do not stay the exact same to the pound weight year round, and that's fine, but don't stress yourself out losing and gaining weight every 3 months, because nobody wants to live like that. Okay, so I got a bunch of questions on Instagram, and I want to ask this one first because for a second I thought maybe they were punking me based on what kind of a person I am on this question. But I think it's a real question, and I'd like to answer it, and then I'd like to get your thoughts, because you might have slightly differing thoughts. Okay, this individual asked, "What's your view on vegetables?" But wait, there's more. What's your view on vegetables? What kind? Should you have a little or a lot? Looking at building muscle specifically. So that's kind of a good question, because instead of just like, hey, what are your thoughts on vegetables? Like, skip them is basically my thought. But, their importance for muscle building, that's kind of a more interesting question. And sort of like the short answer for me again is like, not that important. However, there of course is more to this. So it depends on the carbs, it depends on the vegetables, it depends on whether you're trying to like add more calories, or if you're like whatever, trying to stay within a certain calorie range, if you enjoy them, if you like them, if you tolerate and digest them well.
Can I just ask something? Are we talking about vegetables? Like, when we're saying the word vegetables, we're talking about the non-starchy ones here, not like the potatoes and the fruit.
Belief is
obviously
that this person,
not a vegetable.
Unless you're talking about an avocado, who knows what that is? No, it's a fruit. I think they mean like green veggie, like
non-starchy,
not starchy. I mean, again, if you enjoy vegetables, you should always eat them. And if you digest them well and they make you feel good, I am not anti-vegetable. No one can say that I am, okay? Just because I don't eat many of them does not mean that I'm against vegetables. I think you need to find, just like fruit, just like animal protein, you need to find what you enjoy and what works for you. And maybe if you're a vegan trying to build muscle, vegetables might be more important, because you are probably going to have a higher likelihood of missing some crucial vitamins and minerals that you're not getting from animal protein, that are going to help you in your overall body function and muscle growth and all that kind of stuff. Generally, if you're like, hi, I'm trying to eat a healthy amount of food and I'm trying to build muscle specifically, I'm not going to be like, make sure you eat your greens. Like, that's not the first thing that's going to come to my mind. It's going to be pretty low down there. Obviously, if you have listened to either of us ever before at all, we're going to talk about protein being really, really important for muscle building and everything else. But it is the most important macro. It is the most important thing you can be eating to just sustain your body and make sure your body's functioning, and to encourage the kind of work you need to do in the gym to build muscle tissue, and then to support and nourish that muscle growth. So protein, always. You get protein from animal products mostly. That's what you should be prioritizing. So do that, and then just add some veggies to your plate as per your desire. Again, on a weekly basis, I might eat like, and we're not talking about like sweet potato or like squash that Rachel has me on these days, like starchy kind of carb source vegetables. I might eat like maybe one serving of vegetables every 2 days. Like, maybe I get the hankering for a salad. Maybe I put some asparagus because my husband makes it because he eats vegetables, and I might eat some. It has not impacted my health or muscle building potential in any way. So it's really about personal preference. I don't think vegetables are important for muscle building at all.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
So I would say that I actually, and this is like, I'm coming out of my reverse, or at the tail end of my reverse diet. And I think in a fat loss phase, or like when you are kind of like trying to optimize your volume of the food and what makes you feel good, for some people, at least for me, I like to eat a lot. So I like to have that volume higher. I'm going to prioritize vegetables more because my calories are lower. And so it feels like
But
I'm
that's not
eating
muscle
more.
building though.
Exactly.
You.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. So like that would be like for that. But then when it comes to muscle building or even at maintenance, and I'm just kind of going through like as I'm coming to the tail end of my reverse, my vegetables have actually decreased because now I'm eating more food. So I can get more full on and still have like more volume, but I need less vegetables to feel full because I have other foods, right?
So I can vegetables are filler.
All filler,
and no killer.
They have some micronutrients, but that's the whole whatever. Yeah. But I think as you are going, if you're looking to optimize muscle building, you're looking to go into a surplus, right? For a lot of people, actually taking the vegetables down, like you mentioned, could be advantageous because if you have to get in a certain amount of food, especially if it's a lot of food, you want to, focus on the nutrient dense, calorie dense stuff if you are struggling to get as much food in. And so that can mean that you actually do need to reduce your vegetables, the non-starchy ones, so that you can have more calorie dense foods to hit your calorie goal each day and not feel like a balloon, right? Mm-hmm. And when I say balloon, I just mean like super bloated and digested, feel bloated. Yeah. So I think like that, like you said, I agree with you on that. But it is personal preference. And I was laughing at this because early in the day, so we're doing this 30 gram per meal protein challenge in my FlexFam group coaching. Mm-hmm. And it's like a 21-day challenge of 30 grams per meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, spacing out evenly throughout the day, whatever. And the challenge is to post your meals in the group and like tell us how much protein it is and all that jazz. And one of the members posted earlier today, she posted a picture. It was, she said, vegan cauliflower and potato soup with 8 ounces of ground turkey. And I was just like, and then she talked about it. And I commented and I was like, that looks really good, but I think the vegans might come after you.
Yeah. I'm not sure you can quite call that vegan.
All you see in it is the ground turkey. And I'm like, wait.
It was a vegan soup before you added an entire turkey into it.
And I think what she did is she found the recipe. Like she looked up this recipe and it was a vegan potato and cauliflower soup. And then she just added a crap ton of meat to it. And so I was just like dying laughing. I was like, this looks amazing. And you absolutely exceed your protein goal, but the vegans will come after you if you post this anywhere else outside the group.
And I just love how everything has to have a title too. Like every single thing that's a vegetable is now called a vegan something. Like if I eat a piece of steak, I mean, I guess I'm guilty of it too, maybe. And like a lot of more like intense carnivore people are guilty of it. Like my carnivore meal, it's like you just ate a piece of steak. It's not that revolutionary, dude. Like, but like, do you have to call like your like spinach dip, like vegan spinach? It's just spinach dip. Like we didn't think there was steak in it. Like you don't have to, but I guess it sells. It sells.
It's more. Like the same with the keto stuff and all the labels and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay, I have one more.
Okay, so I was gonna say,
you have.
Well, I have a question. Oh. You have a question, but should we record another podcast?
Well, no, I was gonna say I don't know how long this one has been going on, but I had one more good one. But if you have a good one, do you have one that you think we could do quickly and wrap up, and then? Do we want to record another one today or no? Well, we can talk about that offline. I don't think people need to listen to us debate whether we want to keep talking.
We are so organized. Okay, let's do the one that I have because I think it's pretty quick. Okay. And then we have a bunch. You said you had a bunch too. So that'll be next episode or whenever that happens. Okay. Yeah. So I got one that says, upping carbs for muscle growth. How many and examples of good options? Please and thank you.
Well, I mean, you should probably just join Muscle Science for Women because we talk about this at length. And we also provide like essentially like one of the more comprehensive like nutrition ebooks I think I've ever seen. Like I have told you offline, I think we need to like offer it separately because it's so valuable. Like it's such a value add to this course. It provides literally step-by-step how to, first of all, understand food as fuel, all of the macronutrients and how to kind of calculate them, calories and how to calculate them, how to adjust it if you're kind of troubleshooting and seeing if things are working or not working. Like it's just such a valuable exercise. We dedicate a lot of time to that in the course. And it's like not really something we can give you a prescriptive answer here. We don't know anything about you, whatever. We're just kind of guessing. So anyway, my short answer is sign up for the course. But Okay, but she's asking about how to know how much carbs to add for muscle building, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, we have like an entire lecture that goes deep into like exactly how to find this.
Yeah, I mean, but I would say maybe too, like there has to be some like precedent
Yeah.
benchmark setting that needs to happen first. Like how many carbs, how many calories, how much protein are you eating currently? And how is that working for you? Is that maintenance? Are you losing weight? Are you gaining weight? Do you feel good with whatever you're working with right now? And I would recommend like, if you feel pretty good with how you're eating right now, your energy, the amount, all of that stuff, stick with that maybe at the beginning while you're like embarking on a strength training program, which I'm assuming you're doing if you're trying to build, or sorry, a muscle building program if you're trying to build muscle. And then you have to kind of just pay attention and make adjustments. Like you can't just sort of like, I don't know, dive right into something new, like get a sense for how the water feels currently and then make changes as you go. Because that's what everybody's always doing anyway, right? Like nobody really kind of has it set in stone. I think even if you were going to do another bulk or cut or whatever, like you're kind of readjusting as you go. I know certainly I would be too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I think one thing I'll say with that is, I mean, there's so many, I can answer this question in so much detail, and so can you.
Yeah.
We can go into like, how many carbs are you eating? How to structure your carbs throughout the day around your workouts? What's most optimal? What types? Blah, 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 blah. All the stuff that we talk about. But I would say that one thing that I've been talking about a lot in my group and with a lot of my clients, because I've noticed this actually the past month with some people asking different things and like making adjustments and trying out different things within their own nutrition. People change things up way too fast before actually seeing what's working. So if you are going to implement a certain change in your diet by maybe this is just a random example, maybe you up your carbs by 40 grams a day. This is super random. If you're going to do that, stick with it for 2 weeks minimum before you make any conclusions on how you're feeling, how it's working. If you make any changes to anything else, 2 weeks minimum. I think that we are so fast to switch things up and feel like it's not working, or like we're like, oh, I did that for 2 days. I didn't see any benefit. I'm going to change it, or I'm going to switch back to what I was doing or change something else. Don't do that. Change one variable, stick with it for a minimum of 2 weeks, make your assessment from there, have an Excel sheet,
We've come full circle, guys.
Keep notes. Track all that stuff. That is where you're going to actually see, okay, if I'm implementing this change, is it actually working? It's not going to be in 1 day or 2 days. You need time to see, because there's so many other variables in our life that can affect how we're feeling, and that can affect what we might be getting out of that. So 2 weeks minimum, any changes, if anything under that, you're just wasting your time, in my opinion.
Spreadsheets are Rachel's love language. Yeah, and I would say too, again, just to add on to that, like if you're trying something and you're giving it the requisite at least 2 weeks to pay attention to it, some things you may want to pay attention to if you're concerned about carbs specifically. Am I eating enough? Am I not? Are things like, is your energy good when you're working out? Are you getting like energy slumps throughout the day? Is your digestion, if you've just upped your carbs, is your digestion kind of off? Are you feeling bloated? Are you feeling kind of crappy and tired and like sluggish in your workouts? Like, how is your sleep doing? Are you noticing good energy and improvements in the gym on a relative scale? Like, obviously you're not going to up your carbs and suddenly like look completely different in 2 weeks, but like, are you noticing like, oh, I feel really like ready to go in the gym, and I feel energetic and I'm not crashing and I feel like nourished and supported? Like, just pay attention to these things. And if all of these things, energy, sleep, digestion, hunger or lack thereof, whatever, if all of that stuff is on point, then you're probably doing pretty good. And you should probably stick to that. If any of those things or more than one of those things are like dramatically out of whack, then you need to adjust. And again, it may be adjusting fat, it may be adjusting protein. It's not always carbs. Carbs are just kind of the easiest to manipulate. But those are kind of the things you want to ask yourself. So, but yeah, if you want more kind of like real drilled down stuff, that's the kind of stuff you need to do. Maybe one-on-one coaching. Maybe you need to sign up for Muscle Science for Women. Maybe you need to get on a scary secret Zoom call with me and see who shows up on the other end of the thing. Yeah. Anyway, Okay, well, I think we're coming to the end, but we do have to talk about our amazing sponsor, who today is not the Ninja Creamy. It is Optimal Carnivore.
And we don't have to talk about them. We want to talk about them.
That's true. That's true. I mean,
Because
contractually,
they're
we probably should, but I would talk about
Contractually.
them anyway because I use them and I like them. And they're the makers of this really good grass-fed liver organ complex pills for basically people who don't want to eat the real thing, despite all of my attempts at making you guys do it. If you don't want to, I consider it, and you know, this is not trademarked, this has not been approved by the FDA, but I consider it like a multivitamin because as you know, right? Like as we've talked about endlessly, organ meats are incredibly nutrient dense and they literally have all of the vitamins and minerals that we are taking from synthetic, vitamins anyway. It's more bioavailable. It's closer to the source. This is, I mean, obviously it's processed, but it's as little processed as possible. They're taking grass-fed organs and they're essentially drying and desiccating them into pill form so you don't have to taste it. So it's about as close to the real thing as you can get without eating the real thing. I'm a big fan of this company. They've just been super, super supportive and transparent ever since I have learned about them. And that's what I take when I'm not eating organ meats because I'm too lazy to cook them or I'm traveling or whatever.
Yeah. And I am a wimp still, and I do not eat that many organ meats. So yeah, these are my organ meats and they're super convenient. And like you said, I used to use them as my like multivitamin substitute or, just to kind of fill the gaps with that.
So if you have any questions about their products, because they do have other stuff, like I always recommend the liver pills or the like organ blend, which contains like kidney and heart and but they have other like formulations. Like they've got one with like lion's mane and brain for like focus and stuff like that. Like they've got a couple other cool products. So if there's anything you're curious about or questions, you can just kind of reach out to us and we can get the answers for you. But otherwise, you can find out more on their Amazon page. It's just amazon.com/optimal carnivore. And our discount code is MUSCLESCI. So muscle SCI, and you'll get 10% off. Thank you guys. You rock. And that's it. I guess we'll see you again soon.
Next episode.
Which may or may not be in 2 minutes from now, our time.
Who knows?
Who knows? We don't. All right. Bye, guys.